Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're taking a look at the top 10 ways Palworld differentiates itself from Pokemon. Number 10. Core Gameplay. At the very start of the game, Palworld tells you this will not be another adventure to be the very best. You aren't really playing a Pokemon clone. What you're actually playing is a survival game. You're not battling other trainers, but rather building a base to collect resources, craft items, create a home for your pals, and, eventually, manufacture your own weaponry. It's a cycle we weren't expecting from a game that, at a glance, appears as a Pokemon clone. So, imagine the surprise on players' faces when they booted up the game and found it was anything but. Number 9. Catching monsters. One of the key differences between Palworld and Game Freak's acclaimed franchise is the process of catching monsters. While both involve fighting and weakening monsters to capture them, both approach this process differently. As many already know, Pokemon keeps it simple. Make sure you have a Pokeball on hand, throw it during a battle, and then cross your fingers and hope for the best. Palworld is more transparent in your catching odds though. In addition to needing to craft or find stray Pal spheres, you will notice the game tells you your odds of a successful catch prior to throwing a sphere. Should the Pal fail to break out on each attempt, your odds increase. With this method, you can be a bit more resourceful as to when you're tossing spheres. Number 8. Crafting. As we mentioned earlier, part of Palworld's core gameplay is crafting. We'll admit that the process can be rather uneventful. However, this is part of where pals become a crucial part of your operations. Upon starting a task, any pals that can partake in that task will drop whatever they are doing to help you. This can significantly expedite the process, letting you get a move on with other objectives you may have. Of course, this all depends on the pals you have assigned to your base, and that number can only grow by completing objectives that level up your base. And honestly, some may appreciate this kind of crafting more than Pokemon's simplistic minigames to make poffins, etc. Number 7. Environments. On the surface, Palworld looks about as what you'd expect from any other open-world game. There are forests, there are snowy areas, dungeons, enemy camps to take on, and more. Pokemon has some of those too, but it also has named locations to break up the exploration. In Pokemon, you can settle into a town for a bit, shop for items, heal your party, challenge a gym leader, rinse and repeat until you become a Pokemon master. Palworld wants you to explore and get lost, and you can go quite a while without ever stepping into a settlement. Simply put, the pacing is drastically different between the two.
Yeah!
Number 6. Traversal. Pokemon only introduced mounts within the last few years, and if you aren't hitching a ride on a Pokemon, you're fast traveling to a town or you're hoofing it on foot. Palworld gives players more options in navigating the world. Just about anything is climbable so long as you have the stamina. You can also craft parachute gliders to cross large gaps, or, as expected, mount a Pal large enough to give you a ride to where you need to go. There is also a fast travel function that lets you travel between different waypoints. Number 5. Narrative. For the most part, Pokemon has had the same type of stories across every game. You move into a town, find a professor who gives you a starter, go to battle different gym leaders, and bring down an evil gang wearing themed pajamas. Minute details may change from time to time, but overall, it's the same old song and dance. Palworld, on the other hand, has no story. Well, there is, but it's only through notes you can find. If you're wanting an actual story or campaign of some kind, there are plans for one in the future. Number 4. Eggs. In both games, you are able to obtain eggs that can hatch into brand new creatures for you to use in your endeavors. However, both approach egg incubation differently. Palworld keeps it simple by letting you build an incubator and having you wait a certain period of time. As for Pokemon, the process was much more annoying. Eggs only hatch after the player takes a certain number of steps, with the egg taking up a slot in your party. Needless to say, eggs were more of an inconvenience in Pokemon. At least in Palworld, it only takes up weight. Number 3. Enemies. Pokemon is usually pretty clear when it comes to who is a friend and who is a foe. Just from the placement of certain enemies, you can tell easily who is ready to challenge you. This could make them either a nuisance or totally avoidable. Most of the time, it was the former. In Palworld, hunters are your primary enemies in addition to wild pals. However, you can also become the enemy of the law if you act wrongly toward neutral NPCs. Simply hitting them or attempting to capture a human will send legions of high-level soldiers your way. Also, no gangs in themed pajamas. Number 2. Boss fights. Believe it or not, Palworld does have its own version of gym leaders. They just aren't gyms, nor are they a part of the many dungeons you'll find. If you want to go against another character and their pal, you will have to look for Syndicate Towers. These towers hold high-level bosses that are about as tough as an MMO raid boss. We're talking about high health pools, overwhelming damage output, the whole shebang. So, either get a super high level or grab some friends to help you. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The Pals versus the Pocket Monsters. Now, this is the biggest point of contention between players. We aren't going to sit here and dive into the debate of, is Palworld plagiarizing? Indeed, many of the pals you'll find sport some eerie resemblances to the Pokemon we have come to know and love. However, one could argue that the similarities are part of Palworld's overarching joke. It's Pokemon for players who want to become crazed overlords. So yes, there might be some towing the line when it comes to character design, but we'd rather leave those jurisdictions to the legal system and just enjoy Palworld for what it is now. Have you been playing Palworld? If so, what drew you to the game? Let us know down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more great videos every day.